Great Zimbabwe. You can see the Great Zimbabwe city over here. And on Africa, it's located in the southeastern part of the continent, right here. For a long time, many Westerners argued that such amazing structures could not have been crafted in Africa without European influence or help. These notions reflect ethnocentrism, or the tendency to view one's own culture as the best and others as inferior or not as good as you. With the help of modern dating techniques, today's archaeologists have been able to disprove these arguments and expose the truth. Africans, and Africans alone, were responsible for building this astounding and complex city, Great Zimbabwe. The whole empire centered around it. The first inhabitants of Great Zimbabwe were Shona speaking peoples, who likely settled in the region as early as 400 AD, so just before the Roman Empire collapses. Back then, the land was full of possibilities: plains of fertile soil to support farming and herding, and mineral rich territories to provide gold, iron, copper, and tin for trading and crafting. It was a fine place for the Shona to call home. Over the years, descendants of the Shona made transitions from simple farming to more complex communities with stratified societies, a hierarchy of power. In 1000 AD, the population of Great Zimbabwe was divided by and ranked by status, from elite leaders and their cattle to the peasants who did all the work. Cattle were very desirable and actually more valuable than most of the workers. Whoever had the most cattle was the most influential and highest status person in Zimbabwe culture. Lifestyles of the rich and famous. In response to the changing social, political, and economic landscape, new buildings were gradually built. Tremendous stone houses were constructed by the peasants for the kings. Sophisticated workplaces were designed for conducting trades such as blacksmithing. The buildings were made of heavy granite blocks stacked tightly together. Stones were arranged carefully, and no mortar was used to seal them together. The largest and most impressive building was an elliptical structure known today as the Great or Western Enclosure. The remains of its outer wall measure over 800 feet long and up to 32 feet high. The wall enclosed several huts in a tall, cone shaped tower. Archaeologists and anthropologists believe that the enclosure was the city's center and was occupied only by the elite. It was the dividing line between rich and the West and the rest. Several clues led to this theory. First, remnants of the exotic items from overseas were found within the enclosure. Second, no evidence of cooking was found within the walled area. Most likely, this means that food was prepared elsewhere by servants and delivered to the wealthy inhabitants upon demand. Third, evidence of only 100 to 200 residents is shown within the walls, while many thousands occupied the city. Where did everyone else live? They lived in mud huts surrounding the enclosure. Although the huts were not quite as glamorous as the granite palaces, they were well constructed. Discoveries of Chinese porcelain, engraved glass from the Middle East, and metal ornaments from West Africa provide evidence that Great Zimbabwe participated in a comprehensive trade network during the 13th and 14th centuries. Gold was probably its chief export in East Africa cities, especially those along the coast that had overseas connections, were most likely its primary trading partner. Zimbabwe's prosperity continued. until the 15th century. At this time, the city's trade activity declined, and people began to migrate elsewhere. The exact cause of the evacuation remains a puzzle, but many scientists agree that a decline in soil quality and fertility was probably a major factor. Not enough food, gotta go find the food. The kingdom of Great Zimbabwe has declined, but the House of Rock still stands. You can see here in the picture. So, what do you think? How do we know Great Zimbabwe participated in a long distance trade network? What determined someone's status in Great Zimbabwe culture? And what is ethnocentrism?